Ring rap raps, boxing highs. Oi, Hamzah Sheeraz Berlanga, ring 3. This ain't even a reaction, I don't know. It's mad. Like, the quiet guy, the quiet gentleman Brit. You know, the slick GQ magazine, clean cut Mr. Nice Guy. Goes over and KOs the self-proclaimed King of New York. Right, we've got to get into this. So Hamzah Sheeraz knocks out Edgar Berlanga in round 5. The implications of this fight are huge. The Ring magazine, 𝗙𝗘𝗟𝗓𝗢𝗪 train is already, it's left the station. The Canelo Express is flying, right? We got Crawford Canelo in a couple months in America, probably the biggest fight of the year. So we keep an eye on that, because the winner of last night's fight could potentially be fighting the winner of that fight next year. Mega fight, WBC mandatory at 168 super middleweight for Canelo's belt or Crawford's belt. You never know. Things can get a bit technical, so we won't worry about that too much, because if Crawford wins, rematch clauses, second mega fight, etc., etc. Then we're on the kind of, better be a Bivol merry-go-round. So, Edgar Berlanga was talking the most amount of smack. Now, by the way, full disclaimer, I like Edgar Berlanga, but I like Hamzah Sheeraz as well. When I say I like them, I like the characters. You need the good guy, the bad guy. Do you know what I mean? In WWE, they call it the heel. That means you play the panto villain, the bad guy. Edgar was playing that like a dream all week, all of that. He was bringing that NY, Brooklyn, Boricua, braggadocious kind of hype. And I think back to this fight, the kind of underwhelming Times Square triple header. But in that fight week, this fight was announced. And obviously Berlanga was in town, being that, he's from New York, even though he lives in Florida. He's from New York. He's got a lot of boys around. And I remember Hamzah was calm and chilled as you like. He was there, and I said to him at the time, I goes, bro, you look like you should be doing like GQ. He goes, funny, he said, we just shot that. So Hamzah was there all suited and booted. Edgar was flying around, chains on, Terror Squad, Jacobs, bling, all of this. The EB chain flying around, running around in there with like 4, 5, 6 guys. And I remember Sheeraz actually saying to me, he looks at me and he goes, off camera, he goes, he's hype, innit? I went, yeah. I said, you ain't gonna have to worry about selling the fight. He'll do the heavy lifting. Talking about Berlanga. He was making noise. He was doing his job. He was promoting the fight, hyping it, already becoming the bad guy role. And Hamzah was looking like, he goes, yeah, I like it. And I think what he meant by that was he likes Berlanga's energy, like, in a sense of, he might not respect the way he was going about it, but he liked the fact that he was bringing the smoke, right? Anyway, let's get back to the fight. Boy. So, rounds 1 and 2, kind of nothing rounds if you're just watching the fight looking for action. So, they like feel out rounds. Not much going on to the naked eye. But if you knew what you were looking for, there were early tells that Sheeraz was going to start, putting the puzzle together sooner rather than later. Berlanga as well, it was very adamant in the fight and in the build-up, each stage, that he clearly wasn't the bigger guy. As in, he wasn't going to be able to look down or even impose himself on his opponent easily. Okay, he was the bulkier, perhaps even heavier guy on Fight Night, but Hamzah was towering over him. A very, very tall prospect at 168. Probably going to end up at 175 one day, and God knows, maybe even cruiserweight. Hamzah's 6'2", 3". You're talking Callum Smith height. And ironically, his new trainer, Andy Lee, was huge at 160. Funny, looking at Hamzah last night, you wonder how he made 168. but he's very Tommy Hearns-esque with the long levers. Like the arm length is crazy. So God knows how a matchup with Canelo's going to look measurement-wise. But that's for another day. So Berlanga couldn't impose himself on Hamzah early, although he was getting involved. They were stepping on each other's foot, the lead foot. There was kind of a battle for domination there in the kind of middle territory of the ring without getting too technical. But it was apparent from early that Hamzah could open his arsenal, his array of punches, and touch Edgar. He was getting around the guard. Both hooks were an option because of his wingspan. And maybe because Edgar was being aggressive. Now, at the beginning of the fight, rounds 1 and 2, it didn't really unravel for Edgar, noticeably. And you could argue that his aggression was showing some good work, some good results. Any kind of tactician or boxing brain who like thinks about it like chess, not checkers, they'd be like, yeah, but he was taking a rook, but potentially giving away his horse or his knight or his castle, you know. So he might have even took a couple of rooks to forfeit his knight. And that's a problem. So as early as round 3, Hamzah was starting to touch him. And I think at the end of that round, Berlanga might have even got the better of an exchange. But sometimes it's funny in boxing, right? I'll just use the chess analogy. You have to give up a lot to get a little. And that's never a good sign. So when you're basically going hell for leather or really having to get inside the kitchen, inside what they call the pocket, the bubble, to land, and there was the problem in the fight. Whether it was tactical or physiologically, the issue with him being so much shorter, the smaller guy in the ring on fight night, he couldn't impose himself. And the only times he was able to really have some kind of success was when he really like got inside and had to like almost like mini hop in or really step to Hamzah inside. But weirdly, like Fury and like a lot of good long technical guys, even Tommy Hearns, some of those guys can get their work off, even with them long levers. Like Tyson Fury's really good at that on the inside. He'll land uppercuts, and Hamzah did that. There were a couple of cheeky uppercuts that got through. In round 2 or 3, there was a real snappy uppercut on the inside that rocked Berlanga's head back, and I was like, this is early for them to be like red flags, you know, like early in the game to be getting touched like that with kind of power shots that are rocking your head. So round 4 comes. Boy, round 4 comes. 2 knockdowns. First knockdown, kind of curse of the commentator. One of the commentators, it wasn't Antonio Tarver, it was another one of the team. They say about Hamzah having more of an array of punches to land on Berlanga. And he touches him with a left hook, gets his attention, then left, right, left, bang, bang, bang. I think Berlanga, the left hook got his attention. The follow-up left hurt him. Because it's like the one that gets your attention. All right, cool, what? Bang! Next one's on you already. It's the punch you don't see, right? And when they say the punch you don't see, I think a lot of the time they mean the punch you don't prepare for. You might even see it, but you're like, oh, fuck, boom! So, left, right, left, the flurry of hooks. They kind of were hooks, all of them. It was 4 hooks. Left, then left, right, left, and that was it. Ooh, timber. So he was gone. But typical Berlanga, madman. Like, we say tapped, innit? Like, boom, 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 like Bam Bam from Flintstones. Bam, bam, like, I'm back. Like, beating his chest like King Kong. Punching his gloves. Gets up in record time. A more experienced Wiley Fox would have probably took another 1.5, 2 seconds down to force the ref to start counting a little bit slower or later. All right, you risk getting counted out, but bruv, this weren't a big power left like Canelo and you're down. This was a hard left and then 3-punch combo and you're down. Effectively a 4-punch combo for those that used to play Killer Instinct. Combo. So, yeah, that was that. That was the first knockdown. This is still the same round. Later in the round, Berlanga, who, by all intents and purposes, is fighting on survival mode now. He's been hurt in this. Like, no disrespect. He's been hurt. And he gets caught with another left-right. This time, he goes down face first. Now, anyone who knows their favorite fighter or they've watched the fight where a guy's face planted, Ricky Hatton versus Pacquiao. Pacquiao versus Marquez fought. I was there for that. Oh, my God. I still remember that knockdown. Now, he wasn't knocked out dropping like a sack of potatoes, but he went down, you know, after just being down within a minute before. So you're talking about 6 big punches, knocking him down twice in the same round. He gets up again. Bang, bang, bang. Lot of heart. Big up Berlanga. Lot of heart. Berlanga, you played your role before the fight, during the fight, and, you know, touch wood, after the fight. We'll see how you recover and you know, hopefully you get some rest and you rest up, because that was some punishment. But to his credit, he showed a lot of heart, but to his detriment, he got back up and in it too early again. Lucky for him, by the time he got up, it was 9-8 seconds to go. He was able to just have a little look, the referee come together. That's it, ding, 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 round's over. So that was round 4. Round 5, you got Antonio Tarver, a veteran, you know, legend, Antonio Tarver. And a lot of other people. Frank Warren screaming ringside with Turkey. God, that guy mad at the ref. I can't remember the ref's name. And yeah, you could say the referee should have stopped it on a TKO at the end of round 4. But as it stood, the referee let the fight go because Berlanga was showing heart and showing a lot of passion. You know, at that point, you might say the team have to save the fighter or the ref has to save the fighter. He's a young fighter. He's proved that he could take a punch from Canelo and get up again. So the show goes on. Round 5 starts. Hamzah's comfortable now. He's kind of gliding across the ring, man. He's in cruise control. Hamzah Sheeraz is enjoying himself. He's getting some good work off. And Hamzah catches him with another left. Right splits the guard. Another left hook kind of scuffs him. Berlanga's. From when the left hook landed, even before the right splits the guard, Berlanga's leg goes stiff. His leg kind of goes sideways like Bambi, but he's locked in, trying to hold himself up. But the leg's gone, in the sense that his leg's stiffened up and he's ready to just be pushed over, which is the glancing shot just sends him. At this point, the referee's like waving, waving, waving. So I say all of that to say this. Great fight. You know, the popcorn factor was high. Once the fight got going. From round 3.5 to round 5, definitely round 4 was one of them rounds where you get to see a fighter. You get to see Hamzah arrive. Hamzah kind of turned up. Turn up! But Hamzah turned up in America. And, you know, us Brits, we ain't got the best record of going stateside and having success. There are exceptions. Calzaghe, Tyson Fury. There's a few exceptions. Kell Brook versus Shawn Porter. But not emphatically like this. You know, if Fury's second fight versus Wilder was the first fight, then that would be like, whoa. But there was a lot of narrative between that. Hamzah's just turned up in the guy's backyard. A lot of pressure. A lot of people saying he got gifted a draw and he should have lost versus Carlos Adames. That may or may not be true. It definitely wasn't I had that draw. That was a tight fight, but it looked like he was too tight at 160. I mean, I'm looking at Hamzah looking like he looks tight at 168, but he looked comfortable in there physically. He just looks, he's got a slender look, so he looks kind of stretched. But boy, he's arrived. I mean, I think that should have hit the casual radar. The casuals should be seeing a lot of, because Berlanga's brash in it, he's loud. So the casuals on socials, on TikTok, Insta, the Reels, the shorts. Like the casuals should be getting a sense of this new British guy with a cool name, Hamzah Sheeraz. You know, they should be catching wind of him in the next 48 hours on the algorithm. So Hamzah Sheeraz has arrived at 168 with a bang, boy. Like, he's there. He is there. Now, personally, I know they're going to obviously gear it and frame it towards Canelo. I think they should have another fight. He said, come on, why? He can fight Canelo in March or April. All I'll say is this. If we wait until September, the mega fight with Crawford, you don't know how that fight's going to go. Terence Crawford might shock the world. I say shock the world in the sense that Canelo's the favourite and Crawford's jumping up 1.5, 2 weight classes. So it would be a kind of a shock, on paper at least. Me, I can't split that fight. What I'm saying is for Hamzah, okay, cool. Watch that fight and wait and see what's going to happen. But if they serve us up fight of the year, Turkey's going to want to run it back. So that's how that goes. So what I would say is to Team Queensberry and Hamzah and Ring Magazine, have another, I don't want to say tick over, have another warm-bodied live dog fight ready for Hamzah for the end of the year to close out, to keep his momentum. Because his trainer, Andy Lee, will know from having Joseph Parker fight a lot between 2020, end of 2023 up to beginning of this year. Joseph Parker was the most active heavyweight in the world, and look where it got him. It got him in a good spot, and he was ticking over nice. Like, the engine was just purring, fine-tuned engine. So I think Hamzah should keep this momentum going, cement the momentum with Andy Lee. It's all good being in camp. They only had a 7-8 week camp, and look what they did. I say fight again at the end of the year. Punch someone else up and get Canelo next year, or get Crawford next year. The funny thing is, I can't see Crawford wanting to fight Hamzah, you know. Just, even though Crawford might come in as heavy as Canelo on fight night, it's largely believed that he's gonna eat a lot of eggs and porridge and pancakes to bulk up, right? And a lot of T-bone steaks and stuff. I don't think Crawford stylistically would size up that well against Hamzah. Whereas Canelo will be like the short, stocky tank versus the kind of lasso arms of Sheeraz. I couldn't see Terence. I don't really see that matchup making sense. Just because Hamzah will have size advantages over Canelo, but he won't have the weight advantage. But over Crawford, he'll probably have weight, height, reach, and size. With Canelo and Crawford ain't shorter than Canelo. They're the same height. 5'9", 5'10". Hamzah's up way over 6 foot. So yeah, it's a weird one. If Crawford wins in September, it could get a bit techie for Hamzah waiting for that fight.